real hustler here next to me.
Does anyone sitting out here read The Hustle or listen to My First Million? All right, we have some. All right, I just needed to understand, does anyone know at all who I am?
So I think after this next 20 minutes, you might have a couple of more hands going up. So in the end of the talk, we can ask, will you read The Hustle? But Sam is a serial entrepreneur who got into newsletters before it was cool. You founded The Hustle, which started off as an event, turned into a newsletter on business and tech. I think has more than 2 million readers a day.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, The Hustle, it's a daily newsletter. So each morning we have a team of writers and we tell you all about the business and tech news that you need to know. We bootstrapped it. It's read by like 2.5 million people a day now.
Which is a lot.
We sold the business. I sold the company. We bootstrapped it, so no venture capital. We sold it 16 months ago to HubSpot, which is a huge conglomerate type of business in America.
You sold last year.
16 months ago, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and this year, had we not sold, we probably would have done like 40 or 50 million in revenue. So we sold a little bit early.
And you also started Trends, which is a subscription business that informs your community about emerging business and tech trends and developments, community-driven insights, as I understand it. I have some questions on this in the very end. But first I want to talk about newsletters, but before we come to this, Sam just got in here from Paris but lives in California and in New York. So some cliches that you encountered about Germans since you're here.
Yeah, so Germans and Europeans in general, the men, they dress nicer, but their muscles are so much smaller.
I think they might dress nicer because their muscles are so much smaller.
Maybe. German and French men are so much slimmer than American men. American men are either fatter or have huge muscles.
Whose aesthetics do you prefer?
What?
Who looks better in the end?
A fit American.
Okay. So you grew, and you sold The Hustle in like no time. I think you started in 2016.
The business was about 4.5 years when we sold.
We just had some representatives of a big German legacy media organization here on stage.
Like who?
T-Online, Ströer. So, and there are big differences in how legacy organizations transform themselves and operate compared to emerging new media businesses like yours. Like CNN started a subscription business, spent a lot of money on it, and then canceled it for reasons after millions and millions have been turned. But what are the greatest differences that you see in how legacy media organizations operate compared to new media organizations like The Hustle?
We moved so much faster. So when we started the business, so the company was sold for, let's say, tens of millions of dollars when we were only 35 employees. And when we started, I had the idea, and 2 weeks later, we were live. And someone would come to work on a Monday saying they've got this idea for this thing, and on Wednesday it was live and we had done it already. So we would move really, really quickly, very quickly. And when we moved quickly, we would also test stuff. So we launched this business called Trends, which was a paid subscription business that grew before we sold to almost 10 million a year in revenue, in subscription revenue. And we launched it with just a website, and it didn't exist, and it said, this might exist in 2 months. Buy it now for a discount if you want it. And we collected $100,000 of sales that way, and then we went and talked to all the people who bought and asked why they bought, and we iterated and moved really quickly, as opposed to legacy media companies will work on something for a year without ever showing a potential customer or collecting any money.
You got into newsletters early on, and what led your decision to push your content through a newsletter as a format versus a website, or I think you even had a blog, but why did you focus on your newsletter?
Does anyone here work in the media industry or like with a blog, like and try to get your people to come to your website every single day? Anyone work in that industry? So you have a couple people.
I think they're more.
The problem with a blog is you'll spend hours writing a blog post, and then you'll post it on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you guys post it, wherever people post it, and often it'll get like no traffic, like no one will read it, or like maybe 1,000 people will read it. With a newsletter, someone comes to your website one time and they sign up, and if you do a good enough job, you can send them an email. In our case, we sent an email 6 days a week, and that person would subscribe with us for like 2 years. And so if we send them 700 emails over 2 years, on average, we had a 50 or 60% open rate. So across 700 times that we sent them an email, they would read our content 350 times. So the economics of that are significantly better than just having a blog. When you go to a blog, you'll go to 50 blogs a day and maybe never go back to one, or if you do go back, you'll go back once a month or something like that.
You had a very high cadence in your newsletters. But actually, no one likes to receive emails. Everyone has too many emails in their inbox.
That's wrong. Everyone says that. Everyone has room in their lives for better.
So I want to understand the better. So what makes a good newsletter?
So most people, when they create newsletters, whether you guys are selling something on your website, or you're a content company like I am, or maybe you're trying to get people to use your product, often what they do is they send emails and they get people to want to click off to their website. With us, we said, who cares if they click off? I don't even want them to click off. I want them, when you're on your phone, this screen is 4 inches big, 2 inches wide. Who cares if I'm using Safari or Chrome or the email app? As long as I have your attention there, I don't care what you're using. And so with email, the goal is to keep people in email, not to click off. And then when you want them eventually to buy something, then you do that. But with an email, you give tons of value. You don't get them to click off. You consume it right there in the mail app. And you do that for weeks and months. And then eventually they start loving you. And then when you want to sell something, they'll buy.
And with this text that drives the newsletter experience, how do you create good copy? How did you learn to write newsletters in a way that users love?
I'm a self-taught copywriter, which I taught myself how to write. I don't know a ton about German culture. I've been here for 2 weeks my whole life. What it seems as though is that Germans, and most of America as well, are very uptight and corporate. And the decision that we made early on was, we're going to speak like you and I are just having a conversation, and you're my friend who is smart, you're intelligent, but you like to joke. And I'm just going to write an email to you, and it just so happens it's going to be read by 2 million other people. And I'm not going to use, because like if I talk to you, I don't use corporate jargon. I just tell you like, oh, these guys made a ton of money, and it's pretty amazing. Here's how it worked. Like that's the words I'll use.
But it's such a fine line, because when you try to develop this personal and informal tone, it's terrible when it feels inauthentic. And how did you build the authenticity around it?
Because I only pretended like I was writing to one person.
Can anyone learn it?
Everyone can learn it. Very few people can get great at it. It's just like any other skill. I can teach you how to do this and this, and you'll improve. But you have to have talent in order to be the best. But I can take anyone and make them, the thing about most corporate copy, it all sucks. So if you're just a little bit better, you're going to be a lot better.
Right. If you started today, how would you go about growing your audience?
We grew to 1 million subscribers in 4 years, and over 2 million in 5 years.
But these were still Facebook times.
When we started, we used Facebook. We grew to 150,000 subscribers organically just through blogging. I would write 5 blog posts a day, and those would get traffic, and then I would convert some of them to email subscribers. Then we bought ads on Facebook, and we could acquire an email for $1.50. If you want to start this business today, you 100% can. It would take you 10 years to reach 100 million in revenue, and you want to get your first 50, 20,000 organically on Twitter or through blogging. And then after that, right now, you can buy ads on TikTok, who's one of the sponsors here, and you can get new subscribers for $1.50. And each subscriber is worth $10 to $20.
Which platform would you lean on as a
TikTok and Twitter.
TikTok and Twitter.
Yeah.
TikTok, interesting.
Yeah, TikTok has really, really cheap costs to acquire customers.
But people are young. People are young so that they might not even have an email address they're going to check.
If you get a job, if you're 22 and you get a job out of college or school, you're going to have an email.
I read that you have a formula, AIDA, attention, interest.
Yeah, whenever I write anything, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. If I want to convince you to drink more water, I'll be like, have you ever seen guys with really big muscles walking around carrying gallons of jugs of water? I just grab your attention. The interest, well, you see, they're doing that because drinking water makes your muscles bigger. Desire, you see, when you drink more water, it increases your muscle size by 30%. That's desire. And then action. So every single day, drink 1 gallon of water and you'll get bigger muscles. That's the action. And so everything we do is AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action.
And the attention part lives in the subject line, right? Because that's where you get someone's
the first sentence.
How do you get the subject line right?
You guys know what clickbait is? It's kind of like that. Yeah. You just
the most successful subject line you ever wrote?
No subject line.
No subject line?
Yeah.
And
it just said no subject.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't trust the subject line.
Because
okay,
no one does that.
Yeah,
that's why it does good.
Newsletters are text-based, quite conventional as a format. What's next for newsletters? Do you see forms of interactivity emerging?
I don't think emails, if someone out here likes writing and they want to build a business, you basically can do exactly what we did and just copy it, and you'll probably make a lot of money and it'll be a really cool business. So I think it's mostly going to stay the same for the next 5 or 10 years. Eventually, I think that Gmail is going to make changes so you can purchase a product within an email. And if you could purchase a product within an email, you'll be able to do really cool storytelling techniques in the email. So right now in your email, if I send you an email, it's just text and a picture. Soon, I think I'm going to be able to put a video or a live video in there.
What about interactivity? So our business, Opinary, is about making people's voices heard and getting people to express their opinion. And I'm surprised that newsletters, even though they're so fast moving at the moment, there are hardly any forms of interactivity. So how do you get the feedback from your audience?
Well, so do you guys use, what's your most popular email here? Gmail?
Gmail.
So with Gmail, they've got like a spam filter, and the way that you stay out of the spam filter is you send your audience an email, and you'd be like, hey, what's going on? This is Sam from The Hustle. I'm going to tell you about your news today, but before I get into it, I just had Guacamole Bar, this restaurant in Germany, and it's amazing. What's your favorite type of Mexican food? Hit reply, let me know. And when people reply, no one else can see it, but that means that I go into people's inbox more often and won't go to spam.
Huh. You said you find a lot of inspiration for your articles in comment sections. Comment sections have a very bad standing in Germany.
Yeah, they do, and I understand that, but do you guys
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, do you guys use Reddit here?
Not so much, but everyone knows
it. Is Reddit popular?
Yes.
Does anyone use Reddit here? All right, Reddit's amazing. Reddit's my favorite website on the internet. If you ever want to figure out content to write, good content ideas that are not guaranteed but high likelihood to be good content, you go to a subreddit. There's Reddit, and then there's a subreddit, which are communities based on people's interests. There could be a subreddit on people who love carbonated water. There could be a subreddit on people who love whatever vitamins these are. There could be a subreddit on people who like do-it-yourself furniture. Okay, and so you go to that subreddit and you click top, which means it sorts the best threads by the most popular content posted there. Then you click the comments section and you sort by most popular comments, and those comments will give you ideas. So someone will post on Reddit, I just made a $50 couch at home and it looks beautiful, and it's a picture of this. And the top comment will say, that's amazing. Someone should do that for patio furniture. And so that's my idea. And someone might say, oh, I did this with patio furniture, and it only costs $18 worth of wood. So I'll create an article. Here's amazing pieces of furniture that you can make for less than $20, and I'll list out some of the comments. You know what I mean?
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
Because if it's popular on Reddit, that means people like it. So I'm just going to piggyback off that and use that for ideas.
I want to hear a little bit. I have to ask you some. We have to turn you into a crystal ball because you recently got into predictions. You have also predicted the newsletter awakening. And you're running a platform, trends, around trends and predictions. So I'm forced to ask you some questions looking into the future. Which new or old media formats will emerge, like podcasts?
Which old media is going to get bigger?
What's totally nothing, like no one cares about them right now, but they're going to be big in 5 years or 10.
In America, we have cable TV. That's going to go away in like 10 years. Cable TV won't be a thing. Basically in America, cable TV, it only has ads for cars and drugs because old people like buying cars and old people need lots of drugs. So like that's like going to go away, I think, very soon. I think that in America, like 18, 17, and 16-year-olds, they are kind of revolting against digital, and they want like more intimate, less addiction-focused stuff. Like, you know, we're all addicted to our phones. 18-year-olds now are depressed, and they don't want that. So I think that maybe there's a world where some older, like, I can mail people a newspaper, and I think there will be a market for that in 10 years, actually. Podcasts are still growing like crazy. Spotify is going to change that and make it much better because discoverability and shareability on podcasts is horrible. And tracking, does anyone out here like work in the podcast industry? Tracking, we own a podcast that does like 2 or 3 million downloads a month, and it's one of the most popular business podcasts in America, and I have no idea how to track the data because it's like impossible. So once that changes, more money will go into podcasts and they'll be much better, I think.
Interesting. Next prediction, is there hope for interactive audio?
Interactive stuff?
Yes.
I think there's going to be, I was just with a woman last night who owns a paid community for moms in Germany, and I think paid communities for niche interests are going to become far more popular than they are now.
Agree.
Yeah.
Will Google, Facebook, and Amazon be broken up anytime soon?
No.
No.
Will it be broken up? No. But people are going to use Facebook less and less because Mark Zuckerberg, they view him as a villain, and 18-year-olds don't think Facebook is cool.
Last question.
But it's too hard to break up. You can't break up Instagram and Facebook. Like, it physically can't get done. I don't think that you could like separate those code bases.
Let's see. We're gonna check back at OMR next year. Will you be back? Last prediction. Will you be back at OMR next year?
If you pay for my flights.
Yes. I think someone here will. Thank you, Sam.
All right, that's it?
That's it.
All right, we're good. Thank you for having me hanging out over here.